Hi, everybody. This is the Football Hood, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion, your host, the Hood, and this is another video on WFAN. I will not play the crazy Looney Tune music of getting taken to the funny farm because in this situation, they might be right. Headline. Now, as a host here, I like to goof on them, but I actually think that I agree with them with a lot of the things they said about the Giants. The Jets, on the other hand, will have a video on them in the near future. How some Jet fans that are hosts there have completely lost it. And it is quite funny. But here we go. As you know, the Giants got just destroyed by the Cowboys 48 to, what was it, 48 to 19, 49 to 17, whatever it was. 47 to 17. Just terrible. I mean, just the numbers against the Cowboys in the game and both games they played against the Cowboys just horrific. They've given up 4,000 yards of total offense against the Giants. They scored 20 touchdowns against the Giants. The Giants have done nothing. They scored one touchdown in 8 quarters, and they did that. The host on the fan were fit to be tied. Well, it started with the morning. I did not see I listened a little bit to the mid-morning show. I actually listened. They were really going crazy on the Jets. But here we go from Odyssey.com. From Norman, or as they like to call him, Boomer, people will end up losing jobs over Giants disaster. The Giants have once again hit a new bottom, as every bottom they have hit this season seems to have a trap door. I mean, really. The latest bottom is a 49-17 beatdown at the hands of the Cowboys, who dismantled Big Blue 40-0 in Week 1. So they've been outscored 89-17. Back when many believed the embarrassment was an outlier for a team on the rise. Now it seems like the beginning of a drastic decline that Norman believes will lead to big changes. People will end up losing jobs over there with the Giants, Boomer said. I don't know who will, but somebody will. Somebody's going to have to pay for this. Now, the Giants have had a revolving door of coaches and general managers. I don't think it's time to fire the coach. It's certainly not time to fire the general manager, especially since they had such a strong first start last year. Players are going to be shipped out of here. Other players will be brought in. Do you trust the GM? Do you trust the head coach? All of these questions will have to be asked and answered over the last 8 weeks of the NFL season. 8 more weeks of this? 8 more weeks of this. Jesus. Jesus. 8 more weeks of this. Joe Shane and Brian Dable were widely praised last season for getting the Giants into the divisional round of the playoffs. But now, Norman says their capability of leading this team into a window of contention will likely be questioned. And it won't get any better the rest of the way this season. That means the media, they're going to question it. They're going to question it because they've dubbed themselves our spokesman. You know, they're not our spokesman. They don't talk for us. They may say they do. They don't. Quote, this is going to be a long 2 months for the Giants, their fans, the front office, the coaching staff, and their players. Well, thank you, Captain Obvious, said Norman Esiason. I would say the last 3 weeks are enough for people to lose jobs. It's also enough to end some marriages. That's for damn sure. Now, here's from his partner, Greg Giannotti. Says here, Gio fed up with losing football in New York year after year. This is from Odyssey.com. Greg opened Monday's show lamenting the state of New York football after both the Jets and Giants suffered ugly losses on Sunday. There's ugly. And then there's horrific. The Giants had horrific. The Jets were ugly. Quote, this is where we live. This is where we have lived, Greg said. I don't know anything different than coming in here and talking about losing football teams. Because it's been happening now, year after year. For the Jets, they couldn't score a touchdown on offense once again, falling to a Raiders team that just cleaned house 2 weeks ago. For the Giants, 49-17 loss to the Cowboys was the latest lopsided defeat for a 2-win team that is now in line for the second pick of the draft, after coming into the season expecting to get back to the playoffs. Quote, "It looked like an SEC team against a Division II football team," Greg said. "Could have been one of the most embarrassing losses that franchise has had in a very long time, including the 40-0 loss in Week 1. Well, no kidding. I think it's about as bad as it gets, folks. I mean, this is embarrassing. And it's not going to get better. I mean, I believe the Giants are going to keep losing. I think they're going to lose the rest of the season. That's how I look at it. Again, from Odyssey.com, some more quotes from another Captain Obvious. This is from Greg. Gio, Giants regime needs top draft pick to start over, but will ownership give them the chance? This is one of Greg's things that he likes to pretend that he knows what other people are thinking. The Giants are officially a disaster. Oh, you don't say. And Greg says the best thing that can happen is for that disaster to continue to the new regime can clean house and rebuild the team the way they wanted to before last year's surprising playoff berth. Quote, "They're going to have a new quarterback, and hopefully it's one of these guys at the top of the draft, and it's over," Gio said. "The Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, the Dave Gettleman guys here and there, all of it is done now." The Giants didn't pick up Jones' fifth-year option before last year, but then he had a career year and led the team to a playoff victory on the road. He was rewarded with a 4-year deal. But Big Blue has cratered since then, and while it sets up a chance for Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll to rebuild the team in their image, Greg wonders if they will even get the chance to do that after this year's disaster. It's just a matter of time. Will Joe Schoen, Brian Daboll get their opportunity after this disaster of a year to be able to rebuild from the ground up like they wanted to prior to last year? Or is John Mara going to get so upset with how bad this year gets, or does he do the same thing again after 2 years? Well, quite frankly, this has not worked, okay? This has been a disaster for several years. We have two guys that have come from they have good backgrounds. They were both in Buffalo. Buffalo knows what they're doing. They're doing a good job up there in Buffalo. Brian Daboll was a coach for a long time with Bill Belichick. Give these guys a chance to basically tear the whole thing down. They'll have a quarterback next year. Daniel Jones will be the quarterback going into the season, but he'll be a lame duck guy. He played really well last year when he was a lame duck. The Giants won't pick up the rest of his contract after the year. And then meanwhile, keep losing games. Like I said in this video, I don't expect the Giants to win any more games this year. I expect them to continue to lose. The best thing for this franchise, and I hate to say this, is to continue to lose. I mean, we don't want to see this going up and down. You know, Joe Judge, we had the 1 year that was good and then that was bad. Now you got this first year Brian Daboll was good. Now it's bad. It's completely bad. It's not even a word. Horrific. Everything has not worked. And like I say with the whole thing with the Mets side of things, get rid of all the Wilpon people, get rid of all the Gettleman people, and that's it. Get them out of here. Were you drafted by Gettleman? Yeah. Bye-bye. Were you drafted by Joe Schoen? Yes. You stay. As simple as that. You know, I mean that's how I look at it. I don't know how you look at it. Okay, here's some more people that look at it differently. This is from Odyssey. This is from BT and Sound. I didn't hear this part of their program. Giants mess may be even worse than the Joe Judge era. BT and Sound didn't hold back when discussing the state of the Giants after another blowout loss. As Spaz says, this team is reaching depths that the Joe Judge Giants may not have even reached. Quote, "This is Joe Judge level bad, maybe even worse," Spaz said. "This 1 year right now, this is as bad as it's been for the Giants in a very long time. And that's saying something. Well, that's why you break the team up. You break it up. If they're not winning, if there's big problems here, you get rid of everybody and you strip it all down. You get as bad as you can get this year. If you're bad next year, great, and you can get another big pick." Tierney agrees, and while he still would stick with Brian Daboll as of now, he says a continuation of this current trend the rest of the way would have to lead to ownership seriously questioning if Daboll is the right coach for the job. Got to be careful. You got to have some stability here. That's the one thing I'll say. You need stability. Don't be so quick to fire people. Especially a guy that has shown that he seems competent. He seems a little out of sorts right now. When you lose this bad, you're going to be a mess. Looking over your shoulder, biting your nails, whatever. Quote, they're terrible. The New York Giants are absolutely gross, BT said. This has reached depths that are so far beyond the surface you never thought they would reappear and be visible. And yet, here they are. Quote, the Giants are dangerously close to having to hit a reset button for next season. If this continues to go in this direction, and it probably will, I don't know how you, in good conscience, look in the mirror and say, yeah, man, we're going to run it back. We're good. How do you do that? I don't know. You don't do that. This is not a situation with the Giants where they won a Super Bowl and they're perennial playoff teams. This is a team that's not been to the playoffs. Been to the playoffs twice since 2012. It's a long time. That's a long time to be bad. And this has been an organization that's been great. And they've been good. They were good for so long, for 25 years, 30 years. They had pockets where they were bad, but not like this. I mean, since 2012, this has been a disaster. So, I mean, they're going to have to really think long and hard about what they need to do. But do not just be willy-nilly and fire everybody. But people in the organization have to be put on notice. The best way to do that is you get rid of people. But you go to the strip. You strip everything down to bare knuckles. And what you do is you play as poorly as you can. This is the hope. You don't win any more games this season. You go 2-15. You get the top 1 or top 2 pick in the draft. You draft a quarterback. And then next year you go with Daniel Jones as your quarterback, starting every game. Hopefully he stays healthy. If not, you play whoever's here. And then from that point forward, if you're bad again next year, at least you have a quarterback and you have a foundation. The reason this is all bad with the Giants, it's not the coaching staff, it's not the ownership, it's not the general manager. They don't have a good foundation. Daniel Jones is not a foundational piece, okay? You have to get a foundational piece. That's why teams can be bad for many years. Jets have the same problem. They do not have a foundation other than their defense that's able to win them games. And that's the problem with the Giants. They do not have guys that are foundational guys. Once they find those guys, then they'll start winning again and being consistently good again. Until then, you're going to keep doing this nonsense. For many years, the Giants obviously had Eli Manning. He was their foundation. Before that, we had Phil Simms and we had Jeff Hostetler and Lawrence Taylor. Those were found. I mean, Hostetler a little less than that, but you understand what I'm saying. You get guys that are foundational guys. They are your rock. The Giants don't have a rock. Offensively, defensively, and that's why you having all this losing and all these problems. Once they bring in a foundational player, look what's going on in New England with the Patriots. They don't have a guy that can be as great as Tom Brady, and you're seeing they're not winning. It's as simple as that. Once the Giants do that, folks, once they bring in a foundational player and they have a strong base for themselves and build off of that, they'll be a winning team again on a regular basis. It's as simple as that. Daniel Jones isn't it. And you saw it. Even before his injuries, we all saw it, the last few years. He's just not good enough. He's not good enough to the point where you can say, this is who we are building our team around, and that's it. Once they find that guy, he's not that. Once they find that guy, they'll be in good shape. But until then, let me know what you think about this video. And of course, please subscribe to the Football Hut. Not so crazy today. I think there's a lot of sadness going on with WFAN because the Giants are bad and the Jets are even just as bad. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.